Hello and welcome to Advent Adventures. Today is December 23rd, Saturday of the fourth week of Advent. A person I'd like to share with you today that has kind of inspired my faith life. Some that know him probably will laugh at this because how did he inspire you? But a good friend of mine, Jimmy Patterson. Jimmy Patterson was a friend of mine. I met at St. John, one of the last parishes I was at. I met him early on at my time there, and our meeting, happened to be he stumbled upon one of our middle school youth group meetings, and he said, "Hey, can I help?" And I said, "Sure." And I remember him saying to me, he says, "Look," he says, "I know nothing about teaching. I know nothing about leading young people." And I remember telling him, I said, "You know what, Jim?" I said, "You don't have to know how to teach. But you have to know something else, and that's called the ministry of presence. The ministry of presence, just to be present to these young people. Make them feel like they belong. Make them feel like their lives, have meaning and purpose." And I really think Jim took that to heart. Jim and I shared a lot of passions. Diet Coke, oh gosh, the Maize and Blue, and good food. In fact, we shared in that quite often. And he and his wife, Noreen, we're an active part of that youth ministry team. And, he did so well at bringing, life to our program. Because Jim was a real people person. Jim was the type of person that could talk to anyone. In fact, very seldom was there ever a silent moment with Jim. And, like I say, people are probably laughing that I'm choosing him as a person that has inspired my faith life. Because Jim would have been the first one to tell you that he wasn't perfect. In fact, he had a lot of challenges in his life, a lot of challenges. And a lot of times he stumbled, a lot of times he fell. But he always got back up. And he was the first one to, always say to me, I need forgiveness, and I am sorry. And I know I've made some bad choices and I've made some mistakes, but all I want to do is just to find a place with God. Find a place with God. And I told him, I said, "You're going to be there one day." Unfortunately, my good friend Jim passed away in April of 2020 on his birthday, his 70th birthday. And it was a hard time. It was a very difficult time because he was such a good friend. And, we just shared so many good laughs together. But, again, where was his inspiration for me? It was about how he always made people feel like they belonged. That was something that he was so good at. He knew people, and I think he knew how to work people. But, I know sometimes he didn't always make people happy. In fact, his wife and I would always say to Jim sometimes, "Jim, you're over the line. In fact, the line is behind you." And we'd have to bring him back sometimes. But it was always in a good way. But Jim brought life to the party. Jim brought life to the experience because he brought value to other people's lives. I think today as, again, we continue this Advent journey and we're learning to get closer to Christ, and we're learning just to welcome that God with us into our life so that we can share it with others. Sometimes it's about helping others to feel like they belong, helping others to find purpose and meaning and value in their life. I think that's a big part of what it means, to be a Christian, to be Christ-like. Today, as we journey through Advent, think about that. Are you doing that with others? Do you help others feel like they belong? Do you help others feel like their life has purpose and meaning? Jimmy Patterson did a good job of that. He made us all laugh. We miss him. But I know he's in a good place right now. And I know he's doing what God has called him to do, making others feel like they belong. Continue your Advent adventure.